it's like draining every aspect, like mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically even, because they say PTSD is caused by a traumatic event, and they say that just being homeless can cause somebody to suffer from PTSD because every day is a traumatic event. It's tough out here, so you may think it's just using drugs and stuff like that, but they're using those drugs to escape something, because just imagine like the worst you've ever felt, and then multiply that, and then put yourself alone with nobody to talk to. It's pretty dark days. Some people out here, it's a choice. And I was kind of surprised at that. A lot of it is mental health. A lot of it. Like, wow, it's so prevalent out here. Just walk down the street and you see it. Yes, some of it might have been drug-induced or whatnot, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they're still going through it, I myself, when I was really deep into my addiction, I suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, drug-induced. And that's a really scary, really lonely place to be. And today, the hardest thing to combat when you're homeless is not getting harassed by not just like homeless people, but like, it's pouring down rain or something like that, and they're kicking everybody out from under the tunnels, the bridges. Where else are they supposed to go? They're just trying to stay dry. They're trying to survive, and they're just jumping on them, because why? Because they had a string of bad luck, or they made a couple bad decisions, and here they are, because that's all it takes. It's just a string of bad luck or a couple bad decisions, and then you're right here. You have to always be on your toes out here. Always be on guard, always. So you're just tense all the time, just always on guard. Have your sheet, on guard up, I guess, yeah. Met people from all over the country. Some really really awesome people that have a lot to you have a lot to learn from them and stuff like that. Just like genuinely good people, no matter like what they do or what they do recreationally or anything like that. I'm Jeremy. I've been out here for 13 plus years, and just remembering the friends that I lost this year.
My name is Deb Weiser. I'm a family doc and chief clinical officer at CHAS Health. I'd like to talk a little bit today about experiencing houselessness and its effects on health. We know that people without housing experience much more chronic illness, injury, and on average live 12 years less than people who have housing. This is a cycle. Once someone becomes without a job, that can contribute to running through funds, losing any sick leave that someone has, and losing some of those basic resources that keep you stable in your own home. This particularly applies to physically demanding jobs. Once someone has been injured, it becomes more difficult to get the care once they've gone through some of the funds that they had and the resources that they had. That cycle comes back more so without housing. People without housing have communication barriers. They often don't have the phones that they need or the access to a stable place to have mail sent to be able to access some of those services. Transportations to appointments becomes a significant challenge if you don't have a stable place where you can be picked up or access the bus or even be able to ambulate towards where your bus stop is. Surgeries to correct some of the injuries or some of the chronic conditions that people have become less accessible when you don't have a stable place. You need to be able to participate in pre-surgical activities like appointments and imaging tests. You need to be able to participate in rehab in order to heal from those surgeries. And you also need to be able to have access to those things, even to be approved to get surgery in the first place. Additionally, you have to have ability to have general wellness in order to undergo a surgery or treatment, such as control of diabetes or high blood pressure. These can be difficult things to obtain when you need the medications and the treatments available to get you into that place. It took only a short time in the field with our CHAS Health street medicine team for me to meet a few of the people that this situation has affected. I met a woman who had her wheelchair stolen only a few days before, and she didn't even have the ability to walk to the nearby facilities to get some of the care that she needed. A gentleman similarly had chronic back and neck pain, and in order for him to access the transportation just to get to the facility or ambulate even to the front door was a major challenge for him. I also met a gentleman who was experiencing frostbite. All he needed from a healthcare standpoint was to be able to access the basics of warmth day and night in order to heal some of his frostbite wounds. But even that was difficult to obtain, which means he was at risk of losing his toes and his limbs due to the frostbite. The relationship with drug addiction and homelessness is also a cycle. It's true that problems with behavioral health and alcoholism and drug addiction can be contributors that lead to homelessness. But additionally, once someone is in homelessness, there are significant barriers to being able to find treatment and help to get out of those situations. Oftentimes, the very facilities that are helping people are also surrounded by people with the same struggles. Those environments make it much tougher to move out of the cycles of addiction. My conclusion, housing is healthcare. My recent experience with our street medicine team reinforced that the most basic need for healthcare is to have housing. Housing empowers people for physical and mental wellness and access to care. It helps them find work and get an education and the skills that they need to get back to a normal life. Our street medicine team provides amazing services for patients on the street needing help. But the reality is, there's only so much they can do when a person doesn't have the most basic needs, a roof over their heads. Thank you for taking some time from your day and some time with our community to remember the lives of those people we have lost in 2021 who have experienced houselessness. These are shortened lives, shortened because people didn't have one of the most basic human needs, a roof over their head.
Hi, I'm Sabrina.
Hello, I'm Ilza.
We're part of the CHAS Homeless Outreach Team, and our job is to help connect those who are experiencing homelessness or poverty, connect to resources, medical care, and make sure they're safe and build those relationships to make sure they know people care about them. Today, we are gathering to honor those who were on the streets and unfortunately passed. Communities gather to honor those in their community who have passed on the Winter Solstice, which is the longest night of the year. The following names being read are those of our community who have passed while unsheltered out on the streets.
Leonarda S., Mylene C., Dean H., Baldemiro V., Selena T., Joseph H., George T., Bobby S.
Maybeth S., Henry N., Dixie G., Anna D., Michael R., William S., Michael T., Jessica L.,
Jenna S., Roger S., Karen M., Thomas B., Eiler L., John B., Thomas G., Vera M., Ricky M.
Sprout, Warchild, Nikki N., William V., George C., David W., James C., Yancey S.
James M., Robert W., Marianne S., Hayden M., Dana S., Tina W., Jonathan W., Lloyd M.
Liam B. Marcia N. Christopher D. Leslie H. Steve K. Natalie S. Peter R. Gary G.
Gerald Z. Francis M. Cindy B. Ella P. Robert G. Enrique A. Genoveva G. Patricia V.
Kimberly E. Larry H. William T. Craig M. Joshua B. John M. Andy S.
Loretta H. Max D. Jose S. Lila P. Kathy M. Jeanette O. Sheila D. Timothy F.
Thomas D. Dale M. James M. Angela S. James T. Janice M. Sheila S. Wendy T. Paulina S. Stephanie M. Julie B. Lindsay D. Randall S. Megan D. Lavera S. John R. Rick S.
Christina S. Donald D. Corantimer P. Patsy G. Ryan T. Spencer B. Ryan P.
Terry C. Terry R. Travis F. Douglas L. Henry P. Frederica S. Louis S. Michael S.
Michael G. Justin C. Dave P. Donald D. Thomas C. Craig M.
Sherry G. Lyad B. Ronnie J. George J. Sean Monkey M. Phil Y.
Darlene A. Ray A. Craig M. Jenna S. Joe H. Thomas D. Kent K. Deanna F.
Asa K. Kathy C. William P. Rona J. Lester J. Jennifer M. Noah K. Rosemary P.
Ann H. Michael S. Michael D. Rosemary N. Nathan Hollywood. Donald S. Kelly Joe T.
Newton B. Jr.
Robert Anthony T.
Joe N. James R.
Loris H.
We think it very important at this time as we gather to remember people that did die in the streets, unnamed, unrecognized, and alone. We thank you for taking time to gather with us to honor those who have died in the streets. These people are people who died homeless, had nowhere else to turn. These people are not different than you and I. We want to wish everybody a great holiday season, and we ask and remember that we be kind to everyone that we see, and we thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.